Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up.
Mr. Hill, that one quote, it has the power to change the entire course of a person's life. It's staggering. It's as if you're saying the master key to every locked door is just a single idea. Don't quit. Is it really that simple?
Simplicity, Doctor, is often the vessel for the most profound truths. Yes, at the heart of most great achievements in history, you will find an indomitable will, an inner force that looks upon the storms of life and says, I am stronger than you. So yes, that initial understanding is not incorrect. The foundation is this: never, under any circumstances, give up.
But with the deepest respect for that powerful principle, isn't that advice potentially dangerous in our modern world? You see, in modern psychology and economics, we grapple with a very real concept called the sunk cost fallacy. It's the tendency for people to continue with a project, a relationship, or a career path simply because they've invested so much time, money, or energy into it, even when all the evidence is screaming that it's a failing endeavor. They can't accept that their investment is gone. So my question is this, and I think it's a question that haunts every entrepreneur, every artist, every determined person today. Where is that fine line between intelligent persistence and foolish stubbornness? How are we supposed to know if we are marching toward a great victory or just pouring our lives and resources into a bottomless pit?
That is an extraordinary question, Doctor. Truly extraordinary. It is at that precise point that the line is drawn between a true prospector and a mere gambler. Both seek a fortune, but one is committed to a principle, while the other is committed only to chance.
And that principle is persistence?
Not exactly. The principle is knowing the difference between persistence and stubbornness.
In your research, you spoke with countless successful and unsuccessful people. Is there a specific story you recall, one that illustrates that line, that difference, in a tangible way? A story that shows how one wrong step can cost an empire?
There are many stories, but there is one that has never left my mind. The story of a man named R.U. Darby and his uncle. They were caught up in the gold rush fever of the time, the dream of getting rich overnight. They secured a piece of land in Colorado, pooled all their savings to buy some drilling equipment, and they began to dig. It was hard, grueling work, but their motivation was strong. After weeks of labor, they finally found what they were looking for. Their pickaxe struck a shining vein of ore.
So they'd made it.
An initial success. They shipped a few wagon loads of the ore to a smelter. When the report came back, it was unbelievable. They had stumbled upon one of the richest veins in Colorado. Now all they had to do was keep digging to secure their fortune. They bought better machinery and went back into the earth with even greater hope. But then something happened that turned their dream to dust. The vein of gold vanished. It was gone. It was as if they had hit a dead end deep inside the mountain. They kept digging, desperately, angrily. They changed course, a little to the left, a little to the right, but there was nothing, only silence and hard rock. The dream of wealth was turning into a nightmare of debt before their very eyes.
That's the critical point, the moment of decision.
Yes, and they made their decision. The uncle and nephew, tired and defeated, looked at each other and said, "It's no use." They threw down their pickaxes, sold all their expensive equipment for a few $100s to a local junkman, and took the train back home, broken and disgraced.
What a bitter end.
The story doesn't end there, Doctor. That is merely the beginning of the lesson. The junk man, the one who bought the equipment, he was no gambler. He thought it might be wise to do one small thing before scrapping the equipment. He hired a mining engineer to come take a look. He asked for a professional opinion. The engineer surveyed the mine, he made some calculations, and he came to a startling conclusion. He said the previous owners were unfamiliar with the nature of fault lines. They didn't know that nature sometimes plays tricks on men. The engineer's calculations showed that the main vein of gold, the massive fortune, was located just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped drilling. With just 3 more feet of effort, that junk man unearthed millions of dollars in gold.
3 feet? Unbelievable. To think that entire dream, that vast fortune, was just 1 step away. That is truly painful.
The most painful failures are always the ones that happen on the very cusp of victory.
All right, so let's dissect this story, because I believe the answer to my question is hidden right here. The mistake the Darbys made, it wasn't just giving up, was it? In my view, the greater, more fundamental mistake was giving up based on guesswork. They hit a wall, and instead of seeking out an expert, someone with specialized knowledge, they listened only to their own despair.
Precisely, precisely. You have struck the very heart of the matter, Doctor. And it is here that we find the answer to your question. This is where the line between stubbornness and persistence is drawn. Persistence is not the blind repetition of a failing action. That is the definition of stubbornness. True persistence is an intelligent strategy, and it stands on 3 fundamental pillars. 3 pillars the Darbys had none of, but that the junk man, perhaps unknowingly, used all of.
3 pillars. I'm listening.
The first, and most important, is a burning desire, a genuine, all-consuming fire. The Darbys had a wish to get rich, which is a common wish, but they did not have a burning desire for that specific success, to unearth that gold. A burning desire is the fuel that keeps your inner world alight when everything outside goes dark. It is not a simple wish. It is a positive obsession. This pillar is your fuel.
And the second pillar?
The second, a definite plan. What was Darby's plan? To dig. That is not a plan. It is a physical activity. A definite plan means you have a strategy. It means you have already thought about your options if you hit a dead end. It means you have a plan B and a plan C. Darby's plan was rigid and brittle. The moment it failed, it shattered. This pillar is your compass.
And the third pillar, which I think I can guess.
The third pillar, a Mastermind Alliance. The Darbys only had each other. 2 uninformed minds amplifying each other's despair. But what did the junk man do the moment he faced a challenge beyond his own knowledge? He immediately formed a 2-man mastermind group, himself and the mining engineer. He added specialized knowledge to his team. When you reach the limits of your own knowledge, you must leverage the knowledge of others. This pillar is your counsel. You see, persistence without these 3 pillars is nothing more than banging your head against a wall. But when they are combined,
It becomes an unstoppable force.
exactly. Which brings us to the ultimate definition. Persistence means loyalty to the final goal, not necessarily loyalty to the initial plan. You must be prepared to alter your plan again and again, to seek counsel from others, to change your path, but never lose that burning desire for the ultimate objective. Darby was loyal to digging in one spot, not to finding the gold. And that made all the difference.
This is fantastic, because that definition changes everything. It's the exact bridge we need between your world and ours today.
True principles never grow old, Doctor. They merely change their attire.
Exactly. For instance, think of a startup. A team builds a product, they launch it, and no one buys it. 0 sales. That's the moment the vein of gold disappears.
Go on.
Well, foolish persistence, the Darby method, would be the team telling themselves, we just have to try harder. Then they pour more money into marketing that same failed product. They're being loyal to the initial plan. But intelligent persistence, that's loyalty to the final goal. A startup's final goal isn't to sell that specific product, it's to solve a specific problem for the customer. So the intelligent team, instead of just advertising more, goes back to its customers, its mastermind group, talks to them, learns from them, and is willing to completely pivot or even scrap the product to find a new plan to reach that ultimate goal. This is it.
Precisely. You have beautifully applied the principle to your world. Loyalty to solving the problem, not to the initial solution.
Or a more personal example, someone who's hit a dead end in their career. They hate their job, there's no growth, no excitement. Foolish persistence is them telling themselves, well, I've put so many years into this, I just have to stick it out until retirement. That's loyalty to a failed plan, driven by the fear of sunk costs.
Whereas,
intelligent persistence is loyalty to the goal of living a fulfilling and meaningful professional life. That's the ultimate objective. And to achieve it, they might need to change the plan entirely. It might mean learning a new skill, taking classes at night, getting a career coach, and having the courage after years to switch industries completely. That isn't running from a problem, it's the highest form of loyalty to a higher goal.
Whether you are prospecting for gold in a mountain, searching for customers in a digital marketplace, or seeking meaning in your own life, the principles remain the same. Desire the goal with all your being. Devise plans to achieve it. And when your own knowledge runs out, seek the counsel of the wise. That is the path to transforming stubbornness into a great achievement.
This framework, these 3 pillars, it's brilliant. But Mr. Hill, for the person who is right now, in this very moment, in the middle of the storm, the one who is drowning in doubt and doesn't know whether to continue or to let go, what specific step-by-step advice do you have? How can they apply this way of thinking to their life tomorrow?
Design a feedback system for yourself. This is the tool that will guide you out of the darkness of guesswork and into the light of data.
A feedback system? What do you mean?
It means that instead of just blindly trying harder, you set small, specific, and measurable metrics to gauge your progress. For example, if your goal is to increase sales, instead of just being hopeful, you make a clear contract with yourself. You say, over the next 3 months, I will test 3 different marketing strategies, and my goal is to acquire a minimum of 10 new clients through them. Do you see? It's specific, measurable, and time-bound.
And if at the end of those 3 months, we don't get those 10 clients?
That is the crucial juncture. If, after 3 months, despite having adjusted your plan, despite having sought counsel, and despite having put in a reasonable effort, you see absolutely no measurable progress, not 10 clients, not 5, not even 1, then that is valuable data. That data is telling you that it might be time to reevaluate the goal itself, not just to stubbornly keep banging on the same door. This system allows you to see the difference between a difficult challenge and a fundamentally wrong path.
So it all makes sense now. So persistence isn't about banging your head against a brick wall, hoping it will break. It's about trying 100 different keys to find the one that fits the lock in that wall. The focus isn't on the banging, it's on opening the door. Persistence means loyalty to the goal, not necessarily to the plan. What is your wall and what are your keys?